These kind of videos tend to age badly, but hey, it's a win-win situation if any of the games mentioned here get another game, or even just a remaster or remake, so I wouldn't even mind it if it ages badly. Many things do, like milk. Luckily I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't really drink it anyways, so I would never be able to accidentally leave the milk in the fridge for a couple of months and then try to take a sip of that gooey mess that it became. Probably happened to more people than it should. Almost every big publisher and developer has some of those IPs that they sit on and do nothing with them, for various reasons. Is the market there anymore? Did the last game in the franchise flop so hard that they don't want to touch it again? There's just way too many to mention them all, so if I forget your favorite dead gaming franchise, don't forget to insult me in the comments for it. The first company that comes to your mind when thinking about having lots of somewhat dead franchises would be Nintendo, at least for me. The obvious IP to mention here would be F-Zero, which did not get a game for 20 years till F-Zero 99 came out. For some people it probably wouldn't even count as a real game in the franchise, but it is. I was pretty skeptical till I played it and had my fun, for a bit. Tetris 99 is the only 99 game that is like endless fun for me. So now the question is, did it show Nintendo it's finally time for a new one? Maybe at least a remaster of GX? Who knows, my uncle sadly does not work for Nintendo and no one's uncle does, even though some people have an uncle there probably. And in a way, Nintendo has made a lot of those decisions recently, at least that's what it feels like to me. Remakes of Famicom Detective Club and a new game after almost 40 years, here you go. Remakes of Another Code, there you go. Remasters of Barton Kaitos, yep, you can have those too. Even though those were together with Namco, but it also makes you think, the Xenoblade games have made some waves recently. Maybe we can use that to remaster some other franchise that starts with Xeno. Nope, let's go for the other, even more obscure Monolith Soft JRPG they have made in the past. They are also on Steam, so if you feel like you're in the mood for some great JRPGs, go ahead. Eventually we will get those xenosaga remasters, right? I'm sure they're cooking something up at this very moment. Xenosaga had 3 mainline games, same with Xenoblade, sorry X. So the number 4 will be something special. Even Endless Ocean came back. I love those on the Wii or Everblue on the PlayStation 2 by the same developers. The Switch Endless Ocean game probably killed it again for a bit though. With Nintendo, I feel there's always a chance for them to bring something back, unless it's something simplistic from the NES era like Ice Climbers or Wrecking Crew. Those games were fun arcade games, but nowadays they would have to be totally reworked, and if you want to bring them back, you would most likely do it in a collection or something like NES Remix. Maybe a little remake for $10, but we know Nintendo would sell it for more than that. Unless your name is Sakurai, then you just take Kid Icarus, something most people only know from Smash, and turn it into a super duper fun game for the 3DS that gives you cramps in your hands when you play it. It basically doesn't have much to do anymore with the old Kid Icarus, except for some characters and enemies, but sometimes an IP needs that kind of treatment to continue. I mean, if Nintendo thought, getting over it, how about we make a game like that and use the Ice Climbers for it? It would make a good fit, I think. There's a bunch of them that will stay dead forever, like Wii Sports. Get it? Because the Wii era is gone, so Switch Sports is like a completely new and totally changed experience. Or Sin and Punishment, because Treasure kinda doesn't even really exist anymore, and I wouldn't want one of those without them, unless Nintendo somehow can make a new team that can step into their footprints. I don't think a different company could do it justice though. And I think if Nintendo really wanted to revive a rail shooter again, they would rather try Star Fox again. And again, till it actually works again. I just want Crystal back, I'm not a furry. What about one that will most likely stay dead forever though, for a good reason? The Mother franchise. Mr. Itoi wanted to tell a story through 3 games, and that's what he did. The end. Why does every franchise have to go on and on if the main creator of them does not want to? I'm pretty sure even if they would have sold amazingly well, Nintendo would not have made more of them, since it just wouldn't feel right and disrespectful to Itoi. They were a passion project through and through. So I always thought it was a bit weird to make a fan game and call it Mother 4 instead of, calling it something else right from the start. Not like that game would ever come out anyways. Sega has a whole vault of dead franchises, but recently they showed that they're working on bringing some of them back. Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, or even something like Golden Axe, which makes me scratch my head a bit, and I feel that one will be a flop. It feels like the kind of IP only the ultra boomers will remember and won't end up selling too well. This makes me sound like an evil guy in a suit who works at video game companies and only allows the developers to make games with mainstream appeal. Sorry. That's another thing with some of these dead franchises. Does it make sense to use some old IP that hasn't been used in 20 years instead of creating something new? But hey, sometimes indie developers will just do what big publishers won't, creating a game for the thirsty fans who try to satisfy them and trying to show that the market is there. Like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is as close as you can get to a Jet Set Radio game not made by Sega, and you have to wonder how much the positive reception of it showed Sega that they should hurry up with theirs. They obviously probably already always looked around and thought up ideas for it, but maybe it gave it that little extra push. How about franchises that are dead even though they're not? Games that have changed so much they kinda lost the appeal of the older fans while attracting new ones. A good example of that would be God of War nowadays, a fun hack and slash turning into a third-person dead simulator that some older fans reject and now they're left in the dust forever. To some it just feels like a slap in the face, as if they're saying, hey, this is not for you anymore, go play something else, even if games like the older God of War games are hard to find in recent times, because instead of making tons of action games like that, developers just make Souls-likes nowadays. Same goes for people who do not like the open world approach of the new 3D Zelda games. It just kinda died for them, and I think it's sad when that happens. Imagine you love something for 20 years and you know it needs a bit of change, but then it changes so much that you can't personally enjoy it anymore. Nice for the new people coming in, or for the old guys who also enjoy the new direction, but it just sucks when you don't enjoy it yourself. Sometimes it's fine to be selfish and wish things would be made for you. Since we are talking about God of War, we can talk about Sony and the handling with the older IPs. It's not good. Look at Astrobot and how many of those references in them still live. Not that many, especially Jumpin' Ones. Jak and Daxter, Sly Raccoon, Ape Escape, Jumping Flash, Gravity Rush, Parappa the Rapper. It hit most of the more colorful games, but they're also sitting on more darker games like Killzone, Zocom or Resistance. Sony lost me personally. I just don't vibe with games like Horizon or The Last of Us, and you can call me manchild or whatever, but I just miss the more quirky Sony games, and no Astrobot alone does not really change that for me, and Ratchet & Clank is a shell of its former self. I'm a grown up though and just accepted that Sony does not really make games anymore that interest me much. Maybe one day they will again. What about the world of fighting games? We have the big players like Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Smash. This is the point where you can tell me it's not a fighting game, I don't really care, Guilty Gear and some more. To a casual like me, they look like they're in their biggest prime, at least when it comes to viewer numbers. Not talking about the gameplay since I don't really follow them. I bought Street Fighter 6 and I played with modern controls. Please don't hate me. There's also some big names that for now are pretty much 6 feet under, like Soul Calibur or Dead or Alive, even though I'm sure with all that gacha money they're making from Venus Vacation, they easily could make another actual fighting game. The problem with Dead or Alive 6 was that they wanted to move away from what they were known for, big boobs that bounce around lots. Imagine if they removed the gore from Mortal Kombat and make you hug your enemies instead. It sounds like fun, but its sales would also plummet. Instead of staying in their lane, they wanted to get into the lanes of the others and show them that they grew up with Dead or Alive 6. No more shaking boobs and all that, despite the fans being there for those kind of things. It also had less content, and again they tried to sell tons of DLC. Dead or Alive 5 and 6 must be the fighting games with the most DLC ever. It just makes you wonder what was going on inside of their heads. Dead or Alive just isn't Dead or Alive without the jiggle physics, regardless of how dumb it may sound like. Instead of gaining new customers, they just lost the old customers without attracting enough new ones, and those people may never come back again because you lost their goodwill. Don't mess with the wallet of a Kuma, whatever you call them nowadays. There's also Darkstalkers, probably my favorite fighter that I never even really played. I just really love its character designs. You got Red Riding Hood with a gun. Who could ever say lame to that? And yes, I'm mostly just bringing this up, so me drawing Nia in Lilith's outfit on the thumbnail isn't totally unrelated. In 2012, they actually said Darkstalkers are not dead though, and later released Darkstalkers Resurrection, an HD port of the second and third game in the franchise, and it flopped. Sorry guys, I should have bought it, but I wasn't playing many video games except for League of Legends during that time. And I suck at fighting games. Every time I buy them, I play them for a bit, and then I stop because I suck. I don't have to drive for them, sorry. In 2022, they also released the Capcom Fighting Collection, which included all Darkstalkers games on it, and it's also getting a sequel with the Power Stone games in them. But the question with collections or even remasters is, will it lead to a new game? Sometimes they flop and the answer is a big no. Sometimes they sell decently and you still don't get anything new. It is what it is. What about franchises that people just got tired of so they died out? The two biggest examples of that would be Guitar Hero and also Rock Band and Skylanders. For both of them, Activision just thought, more. We need more. Make more figurines to sell, make more games to sell figurines, waste more and more plastic for plastic instruments, just flood the market. At one point, people just got fed up and stopped buying it, or stopped buying it for their kids. And it also got more boring. The first couple Guitar Hero games felt like something special, especially when they also added drums. Eventually, you just had enough of it though. At least I did. Especially when the games added so many DLC packs that just made me think, no thank you. I will just stay with my old stuff or download custom packs for free so I can play my favorite anime songs. I never played Skylanders or Disney Infinity, but I would assume a similar thing happened with them, or people just grew out of them since they were aimed more at the younger audiences and they never came back with new kids, because, without kids you can't sell those things, unless you're a collector who's like 40 and balding and you want to collect them. There's probably a 4-hour long video essay about the downfall of Toys to Life games that explains it in great detail. At last, we got Microsoft and their journey to get into the Japanese market with the 360, since the original Xbox was a big flop over there, just like any other Xbox, regardless of how much they tried pushing it. With Blue Dragon, Microsoft wanted their very own Dragon Quest, and while it wasn't anything groundbreaking, it was still an okay JRPG, and with Lost Odyssey, they also tried to reach the Final Fantasy fanbase. Both of them didn't exactly help them to gain much market space in Japan though, and while they weren't exactly failures, they were just kinda there. They are still just there on the 360 unless you own an Xbox One, since the games are backwards compatible. How about a remaster of them, Microsoft, so they can only be half that? With all of the studios you recently bought, they also acquired a massive amount of gaming franchises that I'm way too tired to mention most of them. Let me name a few. With Bethesda they got Dishonored, Prey, The Evil Within and many more that will lay down for a while, or maybe a long while. With Activision they acquired big names like Spyro or Crash, who had amazing sales numbers with the remakes, and Crash 4 also sold pretty damn well. And what did they get in return for those? Nothing. Back to the graveyard you go, you dumb stupid animals. Are dragons animals? I would say so. I think they do have a fairly high chance of coming back. Soon, maybe. Please. I want Spyro and Crash, please. Warcraft and Starcraft also feel like dead IPs when it comes to their roots. Obviously there's tons of books and stuff getting made for them, and World of Warcraft is still extremely popular and gets expansions, but where are the strategy games? You could say Starcraft 3 is not totally needed since 2 is still being played to this day, but what about a Warcraft 4? Will we ever see that? Do we even want to see it after what happened with Warcraft 3 Reforged? And obviously they still got Rare 2 with Viva Pinata and the one franchise that people want back the most from Microsoft, Banjo-Kazooie. Once upon a time I was a Banjo hater, but I gave it another try and nowadays I love the first game. The second one though, let's not talk about that one around me. And sadly I never played Nuts and Bolts but would love to eventually. Going into it without any bias that most Banjo fans had back then when it came out, since it wasn't exactly what fans wanted. Can you fault them for that though? No you can't. Change can be good, but it can also be bad. I feel like an idiot saying such an obvious statement. I think it has good chances of coming back though. Maybe I'm jinxing it with this. Maybe some team is working on it right now, but Microsoft will see this video and think, cancel it. And then there's still companies like Capcom or Konami that I didn't even mention yet. We are at the end of the video though. What a dilemma. All I can say for Capcom is bring back Mega Man or Mega Man X. You went out of collections to make, so give us something new or something for the Ace Attorney fans. I have to say that Capcom is doing a good job of making their older games accessible on your consoles though, with all of those collections. For people who don't like to emulate, better than nothing, right? At least for now. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and again, insert me if I missed your favorite dead gaming franchise. I totally have a lot of connections to developers and publishers, so I can tell them to make certain things. And don't forget you're loved, so don't die. Have a good day, a good night, or whatever fits your time zone. Bye bye.